Every little girl grows up dreaming about her happy ever after, but most of us don't have fairy tale scriptwriters making sure we get it. That's where the Happy Ever After show comes in. If you have been waiting for a fairy godmother to wave her magic wand and release your frustrations, create the prosperity you want, and live a life you love, then listen closely. It's time to learn how to make your own wishes come true with your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome back to the Happy Ever After show. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and you are listening to the Double Your Business season. And by this point, I know you're listening because you want to double your business without doubling your hours so that you can actually enjoy the life that you have built. And we're going to talk about in this episode the quick, slow way and the slow, quick way. I'm going to talk about, what this looks like and what this means in terms of doubling your business. Before that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, I've been recently reflecting on the trips that I've taken this year. I'm actually really happy to be home. I love traveling. I love it. But I also really love where I live, and I love summer in Denver. I always have. I just love, walking around at night. I was walking around last night at, 9, 10 o'clock at night with a couple of friends. I have a friend in town, and we were just walking around, and it was just so beautiful, like the weather, and it was just so nice, and everybody's out and just fountains going, and it's just so much fun. So I love to be here, while I have also loved traveling. I've been on a cruise. I've been to Portland twice. I've been to Texas for my niece's and my nephew's birthday and my brother's birthday. I've been to Italy, and I'm getting ready, like in September, I'm going to a wedding, and I've never once worried about vacation time. And that is always something that's just so important to me. I remember being in corporate, and I did not love that I had to plan out all of these hours. And I was like a master. I'm like, well, if I come back from this trip, in the morning, I can get the most out of that trip, not having to leave Sunday afternoon, but I can only, I can just take a half day of work on Monday. I would do all these things because I love to travel. While I love to be home, I also really love to travel. And I just am so grateful that I don't have to worry about vacation time. And there was a point, the reason I was thinking about this is that there was a point, where I thought maybe I would have to, I consider going back to work. I'm like, well, because I had created a passive income, real estate income, which I could live off of. But I was like, well, do I want a little more money to live off of? And so, after I left my job, recruiters called me for about the first 6 to 9 months. I would have a recruiter call me every so often, like, are you sure you did this? Are you sure you want to not work? And so as that would come up, I would say, no. Sometimes I would think about it for a second. But what it came down to a lot of times is like, I didn't want to go do vacation time. And it was never really a consideration. Like, I never really thought about it. But as it sort of happened, I realized like I really wanted to double my business so that I could maintain my vacation time and I could have like extra money to take extra vacations. And so that's, once I followed the double your business practice that we're talking about, I loved that I've been able to double my business 3 times. So there's definitely more money for vacation, and there's more money to enjoy Denver in the summer. So I just wanted to share that with you all. If you're loving this season of the podcast, I know that you're going to want to mark your calendar for September 1st when my next book, Double Your Business, comes out on Amazon. And in the meantime, I have created a 4-part video series for you to walk you through all these steps that we're talking about to double your business without doubling your hours. And you can get that by going to doubleyourbusinesswithcassie.com. All right, this is one of my favorite concepts that I talk about in the book, Double Your Business. And so there are 2 ways to sort of get to where you want to be. And in this case, we're talking about getting to where you want to be, doubling your business, right? So if your goal is to double your business, and so if you did the homework from last episode, you got really clear about, what it's costing you to not double your business, and also what it's going to look like. What are the things when you put on your I just doubled my business glasses and you look at your life? What does it look like? And you made that decision to clearly go all in to double your business, right? Because you're still here. So I'm assuming you made that decision. So that was part of your homework. And then you had the homework to really start opening up and opening up to things happening different than you thought were the possibilities of them happening. So by possibilities of ways things could happen, you probably had 4 or 5 ways that somebody either told you, or, you looked around and you were like, how could I double my business? And you saw a couple different, opportunities and ways. And this is sort of the way I felt. Like, I was like, okay, I think there's these certain ways, which I can't even describe to you now, but I knew I had in my head. I was like, okay, I think there's 4 or 5 paths I could go down and I could try and double my business. None of them felt good, by the way, which is why I didn't step into them. This was before I started doing this process. And so, I just didn't see the other possibilities. How could things be different? I didn't see what I wasn't seeing. And so the reason that I gave you the homework to really open up to 20 ways that things could sort of, I don't call it miraculously, but magically, all these ways that your business could double up, magically sort of, is to get your brain opening to the possibility that it can be different than what's been rolling around in your head for probably the last 5 to 6 months, maybe longer than that, maybe shorter than that. But for some amount of time, those certain ways that didn't feel good because they felt like they would take up all these hours have been rolling around in your head. So I just wanted to open up to just some other possibilities to get your brain opening up. Now, if you did that exercise, and for everything you came up with, your brain could come up with 5 reasons why that wasn't going to work, why that never happens. Just note that. And that's kind of normal, right? Because you were opening up to possibilities that seemed easier, and your brain hasn't been used to looking at the easy way. So just note that, and note that as we go through this whole process, your brain is going to open up to more easier. And we'll do that sort of together. And a lot of that ties into this quick, slow way and the slow, quick way. And so the quick, slow way, I'm just going to tell you what both of these are. The quick, slow way feels like it's moving fast because you're doing things. So you feel like you're taking all of these actions and you're doing things to get to where you want to be, right? So it feels quick because you're doing stuff, right? You're busy trying to make things happen. And it's really important when you focus on, a lot of times when the thing that happens when people go to focus on doubling their business is they start doing a lot of things that are busy stuff without looking at the outcome. So you start doing stuff because you're so before this, this is sort of pre-listening to this podcast. This is what might have been going on in your life, because this is what happens a lot of times. So this is actually what I was doing. So that's also how I know that's happening. So for me, I was like, okay, I want to double my business. I came to the point where I was this is fun, but I really want to ramp up my business. Now it's time. I've had some fun. Now I really want to do this thing. And so what I started doing was a lot of things that were busy. I started doing a lot more stuff, and I had this idea to create this course, which I really loved, but there was no, I don't know what I thought I was going to get from it, right? So it was this Love Letters to Yourself course, and I wrote it. I buckled down for a couple weeks and really focused on it, got it all set up. I wrote all the content for it. I just created, I cranked it out, right? So it was doing stuff. But the thing is that course, I gave zero thought to how I was going to know if it was working. I didn't, how I was going to know if it was working, but let's back up. I didn't even decide what was the goal of that course. Was it to make a certain amount of money? Was it to get people on my list? Was it just a way to be of service to the world? I didn't get clear on any of that. But what that came out of, why I didn't get clear on that is Well, because I didn't get clear on it, but also like it was just one of those things that I was like, I want to double my business. And so it was one of those things that happens when we decide we're going to double our business. And this is the quick, slow way, right? So we're like, I'm going to double my business. That's what I'm going to do. By this time next year, I want to make double the money. Cool. So you start doing stuff and you start doing busy. Like it was like, okay, like, so when that idea popped in my head, I ran with it. There was no outcome based on it. I didn't have like an intention that I wanted to come true. I didn't know how doing that project was going to double my business, but it was the quick. I was doing things. I was busy trying to make things happen, right? So that felt good. And it felt like, oh, I'm on the path to doubling my business, which was not true. So that's a really good example of the quick, slow way, is when you just start doing these things that you think you should be doing, right? So maybe you heard them from someone else. Maybe they're just things that you're like, well, I think I should do this, right? This is probably going to help double my business, right? So here's a clue. Like if you think it and you just want to go into action with it, it might not be going to double your business. And so the thing you want to do is actually slow yourself down, right? You don't want to be in that quick, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take action place. You want to slow yourself down and ask yourself, like, what is the outcome? Like, how is this action going to help me double my business? And if it takes you like more than 3 steps to justify why it's going to do it, it's probably not going to help you double your business. It's probably a busy work. And what I mean by that is if you're like, well, I'm going to go to this networking event because I might meet somebody and then they might refer me to someone else. Like that's sort of 3 steps. It's what it means is that you're just doing busy stuff. Because there's not a clear outcome from it. And so it's just stuff that's busy that makes you feel like you're working really hard and it's the quick, you're like going to get there, right? But the reason why this is called the quick, slow way is that because it feels like you're moving fast because you're doing it, but you're not actually, you're just sort of doing things, right? Without intention, just like when I created that course. So then let's talk about the slow, quick way. So the slow, quick way doesn't feel like you're moving as fast at first. Because you're working on getting clear. So we've talked already a lot about the clarity. And the key to really doubling your business without doubling your hours so that you can actually enjoy the life that you've built is to get that clarity, right? So the slow, quick way doesn't feel like you're moving fast at first because you're working on getting clear and stepping into your future self. It takes some time to get that clarity and do the work. But when the path shows up, it's the really quick path, right? So, and whether it's a path or it's something that like, it's totally possible that whatever you put on your 20, crazy ways that this could happen list, that could totally happen. But those things don't happen when you're in the quick, slow way, when you're just like running, trying to do all these things, right? Those sort of cool things that are super easy don't happen that way. Or you don't see when you're running and you're just busy doing action. You don't see the possibilities because you're not slowed down enough. You're just spinning and running and doing all this stuff. And so you can't see sort of these opportunities that start to come into your life because you've lined up with doubling your business, right? So for me, it was really like paying attention to my intuition. Like you've heard me talk about, like for me, the path was really writing my first book with Difference Press and hiring my mentor and having that clarity and just helping with the clarity. Like that was my path. It's not everybody's path, right? Everybody's path is going to look different and unique for them. And it might include a mentor and it might not. But so for me, like if I was still running around doing all that stuff, I would have missed sort of the little nudges, the little times where I saw her appear on Facebook, or I might have been too busy to notice somebody's comment that was like a comment, not necessarily a post, but a comment within a post. Like I might have been too busy to see those things, right? If I was just running. So the slow, quick way, it doesn't feel like moving fast at first because you're really going to slow stuff down. and work on getting clear and stepping into your future self and taking deliberate action to be the person who's doubled their business, who knows what that looks like. And what that does when you slow down is you don't do the things that are sort of, I'm going to just call it a waste of time, which is what that one course was for me. It was a waste of time. And it's beautiful. I mean, I don't know. I don't promote it because I don't want my energy in that direction. So it was a waste of time, right? And I can justify all kinds of things. I could promote it, but it would get me off track. And it was a waste of time. It was like a waste of like hours that I could have actually been doing something that was going to double my business. And so it was like the quick, slow way. And when I sat down and I got really clear, then I got definite direction about how to double my business. So here's another way to talk about the slow, quick way versus the quick, slow way. So putting something together with not reading the directions is the quick, slow way, right? You've probably all done this. I've definitely done this. So you take something out of the package and you're like, okay, if it's a shelving unit or whatever, you take it out. And you just start. You're like, oh, I assume this goes here. This piece fits here. This does this, right? You don't really look at the directions. Maybe you glance over them, right? But you don't follow the step by step. That's a quick, slow way because in my experience, that takes way longer. And this took me a long time to learn. I've learned this lesson many times when it comes to like putting something together, the way I solve that is I just don't put things together for myself anymore. I hire that out. But when I did it for myself, it felt like it was like going so much faster because I would start and like pieces were going together, right? But it was the quick, slow way because it ended up taking me longer than if I would have just done the slow, quick way, like read through the directions, followed them. It felt a slower start, but the project would have been done quicker and with less frustration, to be honest. So, I've also done this, like when I decided to paint my kitchen, I just decided I was going to do it. I didn't really take the time to evaluate like all the tools that I would need and make a list to go to the store. I just picked what I thought I needed. And when I got home and I was in the middle of it, I realized like, I should have got this brush or should have got this different type of thing to do, or sander to do the cabinets, right? And this was about a year ago. And so it was the quick way because I made the decision and I was like painting within like 3 hours, but it was a little bit slower because I had to make a couple trips back to the store, right? So a couple examples. And a lot of times we do that in our business because we decide, right? We realize we really want what doubling our business will give us. And so we just go into action and we start doing all these things without slowing down to get the clarity if they are in alignment and are going to get us where we want to go. And like I said, a lot of you are coaches. So I like talking about Carrie, our, sort of real estate example, our realtor example. So Carrie's slow, quick way, or quick, slow way might look like this. Sending out a bunch of flyers. She all of a sudden picks 10 networking events to go to. Like she's networking like crazy. She's doing all kinds of stuff that's busy and actually counter to what she wants, right? So if she actually makes the decision and goes forward, you can see how doing this stuff, like the quick, slow way, is what's going to take double your hours to double your business, right? Because you start going into action with all of these things. And all this sort of stuff, doing all this stuff that's busy. It feels like moving forward, but in 30 to 60 or 90 days, she doesn't have any more business or any more money. But what she has is more exhaustion, more frustration, all of that. But if we talk about Carrie in terms of the slow, quick way, and she slows down and gets really clear about the life that she wants to be living, and that's sort of what we talked about in the last episode. What does it mean? What does your life look like when you've doubled your business without? And then she gets really clear, not just what it looks like to double her business, but what she wants her life to look like. So what does she actually want to be happening in her life, and gets really clear about that. And we're going to talk more about sort of how to get clear on this lifestyle in the upcoming episodes. And you can also, get it in the video training at doubleyourbusinesswithcassie.com. But when she gets really clear about what she wants that life to look like, she's going to get clear about, what that looks like, and possibly make some adjustments, right? So she's going to adjust what she needs to do when she gets clear about what that life looks like and what it looks like to double her business, to have that extra income. She can then make decisions and adjustments from that point. She can start being the person who has the business she wants, which coincidentally, just like me, it's probably not running around doing all of these things that are just busy, right? And then, like in my case, what it meant to get clear was that I wasn't creating programs that I had no idea how they fit into my business, just to be busy and just to be doing something amazing, right? It was amazing. I love that program. But it was amazing, but it wasn't amazing in terms of what it was going to do for me in my business. Carrie's going to be the person who has the business she wants when she slows down and takes the time to get really clear about what that life looks like and what her, in terms of how she wants her lifestyle, as well as what impact that income has on her life. She's able to look at her business through those eyes and decide how to make those strategic moves and adjustments. And when she becomes that person, things are going to happen, like someone referring her to a multi-million-dollar listing, or just stumbling into this huge referral source, or getting an offer, maybe to be the sole realtor on a huge new build project. The path appears really, instead of you doing a whole bunch of stuff to try and make it happen. Like, that's the key. You don't know yet how it's going to happen, but when you slow down and you get clear and you take those strategic steps, the path is going to appear. And so you just have to decide which way sounds better to you, the quick, slow way or the slow, quick way. And again, I'm bringing up the term decision. All of this is about clarity and decisions. It's really about getting clear and making decisions based on what you want. And also, as we keep talking and we get clear about what the person living that life that you're imagining would do, it's about making decisions that she would make, right? Instead of decisions that you would make trying to get there, decisions she would make looking back. And so really just decide which way sounds better to you. Do you want to go? And you might have already done this, right? I did this for, 2-3 months. I really was in the quick, slow way, right? I was really like, just like turn out all this stuff, right? And once I realized and I stepped back and I stepped into the slow, quick way, the path just started to appear. And the path continues to appear, because I stay in that slow, quick way. I stay connected to who I am and what I want my life to look like. And when I make decisions about my business, I make it from the point of how I want my life to look, which makes it so much easier. I actually recently, one of the things because this is a process, and so it's not like I did it once and it became clear. Number one, I did it, and I keep, stepping into it, and I keep going back to it, and I keep asking, like, okay, getting more and more clarity, right? Even a year into this process, because my income goal, 500,000, that was a big goal to grow into, right? And so as I grow into that, I continually get more clarity about what that looks like. And I continue to step into that person. And I continue to have to choose the slow, quick way, because sometimes it feels easier and better to do that quick, slow way, because it feels like you're doing something, right? Because the worst thing is when you're sitting there and you're like, I want this to happen, but you don't know what to do to make it happen. And so sometimes you do have to, that's why it's called the slow, quick way, because you have to slow down and you have to let that path appear. You have to be that person and let that path appear. And so I continue to choose in my business that slow, quick way. Like, how am I going to do this, right? And I find myself trying to do it the quick, slow way, and I'll catch it and I'll just slow down and say, okay, what is it you want? And so the way this recently impacted my business is that I got much more selective about the people that I'll get on the phone with, that apply just to work with me. Like, I reduced the number of people that I talked to on a weekly basis, because when I looked at my life, I wasn't like spending a whole day on the phone with people who didn't, hadn't gone through the process of really deciding whether they were serious or not. So I created, maybe you've been there. There's, the Work With Me page on my website, and I created 4 videos you have to watch before you can apply, right? So anyone who wants to work with me has to make a time investment so that I know that I'm getting on the phone with the people who are serious. Because while I love to talk to people, it's not in my future lifestyle to spend a whole day just sort of talking to people who aren't ready yet, right? And so that's an adjustment I made. And again, I chose the slow, quick way, because I felt for a while like the more people I talked to, the more I was doing in my business, right? And so you get to choose this over and over again. So I just want you to make the conscious choice to yourself right now. Say it out loud, nod, write it down when you get home. But make the choice of which you want to do. Do you want to do the quick, slow way, or do you want to do the slow, quick way? Just make the choice. The path opens when you make the choice. So I'm in the process of editing my book, Double Your Business. And it was really great because my editor wrote me last week, and she just said, I had aha after aha reading this book, and having been an entrepreneur, during my life, and just had aha after aha. And so that made me so excited for you all to get it. So I just wanted to share that, give you that little tidbit. Your mantra as we close up the show for this week is, I am open to easy. Now, practice this as it feels good. Write it down, put it on a sticky note. I am open to easy, because we've talked about this before, the way you got to where you are is because you're a hard worker and you're dedicated. And so sort of opening to that easy path might take some practice, saying, I'm open to easy, right? You might have to practice this one a little bit more than any of the other mantras. And I encourage you to do so as it feels good. Remember that you can take the Double Your Business course at doubleyourbusinesswithcassie.com. Have a fabulous week, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for joining us on the Happy Ever After show, where you don't need a genie lamp to get your wishes granted. Now that you're inspired and ready to take action, get yourself on the path to your happy ever after by scheduling a complimentary strategy session at